You just spent $22, she's still laying eggs. I once stood in my garage, empty foam can in hand, and asked myself, what did I do wrong? I sprayed every crack, every termite hole. I sprayed until my bedroom smelled like a chemical warehouse. And then I dug up the colony. The queen was still fat, still laying eggs like a machine. I blew $300 that summer on 5 different foam sprays. They all failed the same way, and I needed to know why. Imagine you're pumping foam into a maze 6 meters underground. Your foam is like a sprinter explosive for the first 3 seconds, then it runs out of steam, pressure drops. The foam collapses. It stops at the second turn. The queen is at the 20th turn. She has no idea you even exist, and here's what nobody tells you. Within 15 to 30 minutes after you spray, the worker termites detect the strange chemical flow. They don't run, they sacrifice themselves. They use their own bodies, soil, and feces to seal off the affected tunnel, creating a suicide shield. Your foam is locked outside. The rest of the colony is untouched. Day 2, 70% of the workers are dead. You look at that and think, I won. But I kept watching until day 14. The queen was still laying. Larvae were still hatching. And here's the scariest part. After 7 to 10 days without a fresh toxin, the queen compensates by laying 1.5 times faster. You didn't destroy the colony. You just triggered its survival mode. Foam spray is not a weapon. It's a $22 ticket to one good night of sleep while the queen keeps laying 30,000 eggs a year. I don't blame you for buying it. I blame the label that lied to you. But if foam spray is useless, why is winter the best time for you to strike back? The answer lies in this and in how termites trap themselves in your crosshairs. Winter, you look at your garden and think, everything is dead. I used to think that too, until I stuck a thermometer into the ground one January. Air temperature 2 degrees Celsius. Soil temperature 1 meter below the surface, 5 degrees Celsius. You think termites die from the cold, the truth is even scarier. They don't die, they just pull deeper down where the temperature holds steady between 4 and 10 degrees. No hibernation, no real slowdown, just waiting. In summer, worker termites roam your entire garden a 50-meter radius. They are food-seeking machines. But in winter, everything changes. They huddle together, a radius of 12 to 15 meters around the main nest. Around moisture sources. And guess what the most stable source of moisture and warmth is within that radius? Your house's foundation. It's like a giant underground heater. In winter, termites don't stray far from your house anymore. They are right under your feet. Winter is not the termites' enemy. It is their betrayer. Here's an old mud tube. Seeing it dry and cracked like this, you'd think the termites abandoned it. But I learned an expensive lesson. In winter, termites don't build new tunnels. They still patrol the old ones every 2 to 3 days, just checking moisture levels. I once placed bait stations in the wrong spot, a full meter away from the tube, and waited 3 weeks with nothing until I learned the 20 centimeter to the south rule. This tube isn't a graveyard, it's their highway. I monitored 3 colonies over 5 consecutive winters. In January, when soil temperature drops to 5 degrees, termites travel a maximum of 12 meters from the nest. I placed bait stations 30 centimeters from an old mud tube. They found it within 8 hours. 8 hours, not 8 days. In summer, that same discovery takes 3 to 5 days. Winter doesn't kill termites, but it turns them into lazy, sluggish, predictable targets. This is not the termite sleeping season. This is termite hunting season. And you're about to learn how to set a trap for an enemy that has locked itself inside your crosshairs. So how do you turn this winter window into a killing blow? The answer is in this and in a $3.50 box of borax. This is borax, $3.50 a box. In your hands, it's laundry powder. In my hands, it's a Trojan horse. 4 tablespoons of cellulose powder from old cardboard you were about to throw away. This isn't filler, this is bait. Termites aren't addicted to sugar like ants, they're addicted to cellulose. This is the meal they can't resist. 1 borax, 4 cellulose, 2 warm water. This is the golden ratio. No sugar. Sugar calls ants, and ants will drive termites away from your bait station. Cellulose is a private feast, only for termites. Mix until it reaches the consistency of toothpaste. No dripping. Wet enough for termites to easily carry back to the nest. Thick enough not to wash away in the winter dew. I tested 12 different formulas over 2 winters. This ratio gave me the best results. Borax doesn't kill termites instantly. If it did, the worker would die right at the bait station and never carry the poison home. Borax is a slow stomach poison, 48 to 72 hours, long enough for the worker to return and pass the food to 30 nestmates through trophallaxis mouth-to-anus fluid exchange. Each one passes it to 30 more. 1 infected worker, 900 termites within 72 hours. By day 21, 50,000 termites in the colony have poisoned each other. The queen stops laying, you never have to touch her. The colony brought the poison to her themselves. I use old water bottles as protective housing. Cut off the bottom, drill 4 3mm holes for termite access, flip it upside down over the bait. Cost 0 cents, rain can't get in, dogs and cats can't lick it. And termites still come and go freely, like an open restaurant. This isn't dinner, this is a death sentence. 1 bait station under 40 cents, 12 stations under $5. Compare that to $89 for 6 commercial bait stations. Same active borate ingredient, same mechanism. But they sell you a pretty plastic box, I sell you the truth. Now you have the formula. But where do you place the bait station so termites find it in 8 hours, not 8 days? This is the reconnaissance secret that took me 3 years to master. I used to think termite scouting was for professionals with thermal detectors and stethoscopes. But winter does that job for you. It draws the map. This is a subterranean termite mud tube. In summer, it's damp, dark brown, and you'll see workers repairing it every night. But in winter, it looks like an ancient relic. Dry, cracked, seemingly abandoned, don't be fooled. They still pass through here. This is not an abandoned road. It's a patrol highway. Every 2 to 3 days, a single scout worker travels this path checking moisture, checking for anything new. You don't need a thermal detector. You need to know that winter termites are so lazy they follow the exact same path every 3 days. The placement spot is not right on top of the mud tube. It's 20 centimeters to the south where shade keeps the soil slightly more moist. Worker termites don't just follow the tunnel, they follow moisture gradients. And in winter, this rare patch of damp soil is like a neon sign. Moisten the spot lightly before placing the station. Don't flood it, just enough to create a tiny oasis in this frozen desert. Then set the bait station in. Bury it halfway with the surrounding soil so it looks like a natural part of the terrain. Worker termites don't trust things that look brand new. They trust what looks familiar. You don't need 12 stations like in summer. You only need 6 to 8 around your foundation, concentrated on the shaded side where the soil never fully dries out. Space them 3 to 4 meters apart. And here's the best part. In winter, you only need to check them twice in 8 weeks. Once after 2 weeks to add a few drops of water if the bait has dried out. Once after 8 weeks to replace it with a fresh batch. And if you don't see any mud tubes in winter, don't celebrate. That's not a sign the termites are dead. That's a sign they've pulled deeper. In that case, you need to place stations even closer to your foundation, where warmth from the concrete creates a thermal oasis for them. Winter termites don't like adventure. They like staying close to heat sources. And the biggest heat source in your garden is your house. The bait station is set. The first termite has caught the scent. But what happens next, the part you'll never witness with your own eyes, that's what actually kills the entire colony. You won't see dead termites. You won't see them crawling out in mass die-offs. You'll see something even more terrifying to a termite colony: silence. 8 weeks later, spring arrives, I return to the same spot. And instead of finding the mud tube repaired, expanded, I find this. This is the only sign you need. The tube hasn't been maintained. It's bone dry, crumbling like ash. A colony of 50,000 collapsed from within, and the queen stopped laying back in February. You never had to touch her. The colony carried her death sentence themselves. In my trials, 7 out of 10 colonies collapsed completely after 8 weeks of winter baiting. The remaining 3 needed a second round in early spring. Success rate after 2 rounds: 10 out of 10. Cost $24 a year. Compare that to $1,200 to $3,500 for a professional exterminator. The pest control industry doesn't advertise this. A $3.50 box of Borax can do the job they charge you $3,000 for. But don't blame them, they sell peace of mind. I just show you how to make your own. But before you run outside and start placing bait stations, there are 3 things you have to know. 3 mistakes that can make this entire strategy useless, or worse, put the people you love in danger. First, Borax is safer than most commercial termite poisons, but it is not a toy. A 20-kilogram dog would have to eat 40 bait stations to reach a dangerous dose. But don't let it lick even one. Always place stations inside a protective housing. Always place them out of reach of children. Natural does not mean absolutely safe. Second, don't confuse drywood termites with subterranean termites. Bait gel only works on subterranean termites, the ones that build mud tubes on the ground. If you see termite droppings falling from a small hole in your window frame with no mud tubes anywhere around your house, that's drywood termites. That requires a completely different method. I'll cover that in another video. Third, don't spray any insecticide anywhere near your bait stations. Chemicals will repel termites from the entire area and make your bait stations invisible. Bait stations need to be placed in a clean zone, no chemical smells, no ant spray, no mosquito fogger. If you just foam sprayed around your house, wait at least 2 weeks before placing bait. Borax occurs in nature, but it is still an insecticide. Respect it the way you respect any powerful tool, wear gloves when mixing, wash your hands after placing stations. And if your house already shows signs of structural failure, sagging floors, hollow-sounding support beams when you tap on them, call a structural specialist before you treat termites yourself. This method takes 6 to 8 weeks to take full effect. If your house can't wait that long, you need immediate help. 3 rules: protective housing, right termite species, no chemicals near the stations. Follow these 3 and you've just eliminated 99% of the risk. Speaking of risk, there's something even scarier than termites. A termite extermination bill. Let me show you the real numbers. Here's the math. The Alex DIY Borax method, $24 a year. 1 trip to the grocery store, 20 minutes each winter. Hiring a professional exterminator, $1,200 to $3,500 for a single treatment, and you still have to pay for annual inspections. Time, 8 weeks for results with homemade bait gel. 6 to 12 months for a professional to achieve similar effectiveness, and only if you sign a termite bond for $300 to $500 a year. They sell peace of mind. I show you how to make your own for less than 1% of the cost. But this is just the surface. Let me show you the full picture. Here's what you just learned. Foam spray fails because it never reaches the queen. Winter doesn't kill termites, but it turns them into predictable targets. Borax bait gel, 40 cents a station, works like a Trojan horse. The workers carry the poison to the queen themselves. Place stations along old mud tubes, 20 centimeters to the south, where the soil is moist. Wait 8 weeks. Spring comes, you touch the mud tube and it crumbles to dust. What you just learned is the outer shell, the basic formula, and the winter strategy. But underneath, there's a much more complex system. A seasonal treatment schedule, how to identify 5 different termite species, and a detailed cost breakdown for every stage. I've put together a free checklist, the 8-week winter termite elimination plan. Inside, you'll find the detailed recipe, a week-by-week inspection schedule, and an optimal bait station placement map. Link to download it is in the description. No sign-up required, no email needed. Grab it before spring arrives and termite swarmers start flying again. And if you want to eliminate termites with your own hands permanently from subterranean to drywood, from winter to summer, my ebook, Natural Termite Elimination from the Ground Up, is the final weapon you'll need. Everything I've learned in 15 years packed into one book, also in the description. Comment below, how much money have you wasted on termite foam sprays that didn't work? I'll read and respond. And if you want to know how to tell a termite mud tube from a regular foundation crack, my next video will teach you exactly that. I'm Alex from Pest Free Gone. Thank you for taking the time to protect your home.